Welcome back to OTR. Let's talk about ICE operations in Massachusetts. This video was shared with us from Saugus. The federal agency calling it a crackdown. President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, criticized Mayor Wu and Governor Healey, saying they, quote, lie about ICE. It came after Governor Healey appeared on TV talking about ICE conducting operations at churches. Now, Homan says they instead should be thanking President Trump for making communities safer. Ginny, what do you make of this?
So I don't want to see any more press conferences on City Hall Plaza denouncing ICE. I want to see a meeting with the governor and the mayor and the head of ICE, Tom Homan, to talk about what they're doing, to try to work together to calm everybody down and do this in the best way possible to protect people from criminals who should be deported. I think everyone understands that if they're going after kids going to volleyball, they shouldn't be doing that. So let's talk about it.
All right, what do you think, Marianne?
Well, both Mayor Wu and Governor Healey have asked repeatedly Donald Trump, the White House, and Homan for that very information and that opportunity, and they've been denied every time.
Call him to the State House. Call him to the State House. He'll come.
They have. So when you have ICE enforcement agents sitting outside a church at 4 o'clock when there's a Spanish language mass, do you think they're there to pass the basket for donations? No, it's about fear and intimidation. And all of this is about that. ICE with the masks and everything else is about fear and intimidation. Taking that teenager off the streets, putting him in a facility when he did no wrong, that's fear and intimidation. And that's what they're trafficking in. So they're not going to meet with either Wu or Healey. I hope they do. I hope you're right. But they've asked and asked and asked and they've declined. They're just going to spring it on everybody and terrorize everybody.
Okay, another local election we want to get to. Senator Ed Markey has a new endorsement for his re-election bid. Congresswoman Katherine Clark says Markey has her support. Some members of the Massachusetts delegation have not endorsed Senator Markey yet. So, Marianne, what does this mean, that having her endorsement, does that make a difference?
Well, Katherine Clark's the second most powerful Democrat in the House, so it's always good to have an endorsement like that. What is really interesting are the 3 members of the Massachusetts delegation who have not endorsed Ed Markey yet: Jake Auchincloss, Steph Moulton, and Ayanna Pressley. And I think it'll be very interesting to see what they do going forward. They may, no one may end up challenging Markey, but maybe one of them could, and that's the thing to watch.
Is this about a different generation of leadership?
I think he's running scared, and I think a lot is going to happen between now and his re-election, and anything can happen, including being primaried.
All right, it is time now for Best Week, Worst Week. Ginny, you go first.
Worst week, Matthew Dowd, political commentator on MSNBC, who basically said that Charlie Kirk deserved what he got. Rightly so, he got fired, as should anyone who celebrates political assassination in this country.
And Marianne?
Best week, Michelle Wu, who racked up a 49% win in the primary. No one has ever done that. It is an even bigger mandate for her to get not only more things done in the second term, but help her to stand up to Trump and the immigration people coming into this state and defending Boston.
One thing we didn't talk about is what's next for Michelle Wu at this point. Obviously, she's going to hang on to her position as mayor. Where does she go from here? How does she handle all this?
She's got a really bright future, right? And it's interesting to watch other mayors around the country now following her lead on everything. But everyone's always underestimated Michelle Wu. No one should after this.
More bike lanes. Yay!
More bike lanes.
Happy birthday, Ginny. Thank you. A big birthday for
Today.
Ginny. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Beats the alternative.
Thanks so much for joining us for On the Record. We'll be back again next week.